Today, I wanted to really give you guys a good outline on the postgraduate medicine application process. So I know for my experience when I was first starting out and doing the application process, I spent hours and hours and hours scrolling through med guides on all the different universities to try and find what their GPA and GEMSAS cutoffs were, how they weighted it, what their hurdles were, and it took forever. So today I thought, hey, why don't I make a big compilation of all of that information that I have found and put it together so that you guys can then access it straight away and hopefully streamline the process and make it really, really simple for you when you're trying to decide what med school is best for you. So pretty much I'm just going to speak about the GEMSAS consortium schools. I know there are other med schools in Australia, but they're either undergraduate or require special circumstances to get accepted into, such as Flinders and Bond Uni, so I won't be speaking about them. Everything that I say in this video, just a little hedge, I apologize, but it needs to be said. At the time of finding all of this information, it was true. However, if I've made mistakes or things have changed, I do apologize. So after going through it, do then fact check what I've said to make sure that it is still relevant and accurate at the time when you're viewing this video. So anyway, that's the boring stuff out of the way, let's get into it. So this video is going to be broken up into 5 points. Point 1 is the undergraduate degree and GAMSAT. Point 2 is your GPA, GAMSAT and portfolio interactions. Point 3 will be applying on GEMSAS. Point 4 will be your interviews and how they change the selection process. And then point 5, lucky last, will be offers being released. Alright, so as the name probably suggests, postgraduate medicine does involve completion of an undergraduate degree before allowing you to then go and apply for, well, postgraduate medicine. It does not matter what undergraduate degree you do beforehand in almost all cases. The only real one that I've come across is University of Queensland, where they actually have prerequisite units that you must complete in your undergraduate degree before being eligible to apply for their medicine program. So if you did want to study at University of Queensland for medicine, you may have to do a little bit of pre-planning before selecting your undergraduate degree, or during your undergraduate degree, and you just might have to do extra courses on the side, just to make sure that you do actually tick those boxes and are eligible to apply. I was actually going to apply for University of Queensland, but I didn't know about the prerequisites, so then when I found out, I kind of went, oh, that's a bit of a bummer. So I scrapped it, I didn't have time, and honestly it wasn't that high on my preferences anyway, so I wasn't that fussed. So yeah, but anyway, just something to think about because it caught me out, so it might catch you out too. But other than that, the type of your degree does not matter. Like, a science degree doesn't get weighted more favorably than an arts degree. So getting like a 7.0 GPA in an arts degree isn't like weighted less than like a 6.4 GPA in the science degree. It just doesn't work like that. They're all on an even level playing field. So at the end of or at some point throughout your undergraduate degree, you will have to sit the GAMSAT. And as I'm sure you know, but if you don't know, the GAMSAT is essentially Australia's aptitude test for application into medical school. It consists of 3 sections. So you've got language and literature comprehension, essay writing, and then biology and physical sciences. Honestly, if it was me, my opinion is that I find that an arts degree is actually probably one of the more beneficial degrees that you could do leading up to the GAMSAT. And that's because it just gives you such a huge edge on section 1, which is notoriously difficult to study for and kind of wrap your head around, and gives you a natural edge in the essay writing in section 2, which is something where which is probably the section where you can steal the biggest amount of marks. Which then means that all you've really got to do is study section 3 and do relatively okay in that to bump yourself up over and get a good score. In saying that though, section 3 is weighted twice as heavy as both of the other sections. However, I think you can carry yourself pretty well with section 1 and section 2 if you just do mediocre in section 3. That then leads us to our first cost of the medicine application process, because the GEMSAT usually costs around about $500. When I sat it in September, I think it was $550, and when I sat it in March, I think it was $500 or $550 again. Can't entirely remember, but one of those two, about $500. When I did my undergraduate degree, I did a Bachelor of Biomedical Science and I majored in Infection and Immunity. I really only did this course because when I was in secondary school, I was told, hey, if you want to get into medicine, this is the course that you need to go into to then get into medicine postgraduately to become a doctor. When I had no idea that I could actually just do any university degree I wanted and then apply for postgraduate medicine. So biomed was a good course and I got a lot out of it. However, I didn't do really well. I did quite poor on it. So that's why I'm now in my second degree doing a Bachelor of Paramedicine, and I'm currently in my third year of that, so I finished that this year. And that's A, to work as a paramedic, and B, to bump my GPA up so I'm a bit more competitive for medicine, which I'll explain just now. Now, following on from that, why high GPAs are important is because they are used to help make preliminary offers for interviews at schools. Almost every university is going to use a split of your GAMSAT and GPA, with a few exceptions that I'll touch on as we go through this section. Basically, the way it works is that each uni will get a 50-50 split of your GPA and your GAMSAT score, and then use that to formulate a standardized score that is then ranked against every other applicant for that school that year. Now, all unis do this except for a few exceptions, and these exceptions are University of Sydney, University of Wollongong, University of Notre Dame, and Macquarie University. So the way University of Sydney works, now this is the only non-GEMSAS school that I'm covering in this guide, purely because University of Sydney is a pretty popular school and a lot of people want to try and get into the University of Sydney. So I thought it would be pretty relevant and important and worthwhile to chuck it into this video as well. So University of Sydney use GPA as a hurdle requirement. And then once you get over that threshold of GPA, you are then ranked against all the other applicants purely on your performance in each individual GAMSAT section. So as soon as you get over that GPA level, that's it. It's no longer used in the application process, and they rank you solely on your GPA. Solely on your GAMSAT. Oh dear God. Sorry. University of Wollongong actually use a split of your GAMSAT and a portfolio based around specific criteria outlined within. So it's things like volunteering, leadership, like service ethic, like giving back to the community, things like that. GPA for Wollongong used to be a part of the preliminary ranking process. However, as of, I believe, this application process, I think this is the first one, because of COVID last year, they have implemented that it's just a hurdle requirement, just due to the differing study conditions, and they thought it was most fair to make GPA a hurdle, and then they just do interview offers out of GAMSAT and portfolio. I think they said that they were going to keep this going for the next 5 years, I think it's what they said, but I can't entirely remember, so don't quote me on that. The University of Wollongong also required that you undertake the CASPER test. They are the only school in Australia that do require this of you, and essentially the CASPER test is a situational judgment test that's used to gauge your empathy and reasoning in social situations. The CASPER test is then graded on a percentile curve and is used as a hurdle, much like GPA, for interview offers. Now, if we add to that $500 total, we now have to chuck $80 on for the CASPER test. That brings us up to about $580 at the moment. University of Notre Dame also have a portfolio requirement, so their interview offers are based on GPA, GAMSAT, and a portfolio. Macquarie University required just a personal statement from you. I'm not entirely sure what's in it, but I'd say it's just asking you questions to outline your motivations for medicine, things like that, and why you want to study the degree. Macquarie, however, do only offer full fee paying places. So unless you have, the spare cash just lying around in your back pocket, it may not be the most applicable uni for you. Every other uni do actually just go with a 50-50 split between your GPA and your GEMSAT for interview offers. Now what I've done as well is I've compiled a document with all the unis, all of their GPA and GEMSAT cutoff dates, how it changes with the interviews, and a little bit of information, extra information based on each uni, as well as a link to their medicine admission guides on their website as well. So I'll pop that down below, and if you guys just want to download that and have a look at it, save it so that you have a guide to refer to while undergoing the application process, even thinking about it, go for it. Alright, so we're either in or we've completed our undergraduate degree and we have sat the GEMSAT. Now we have to move on to applying through GEMSAS. So the way GEMSAT scores are stored and worked is that they last for a period of 2 years. So for example, if you've sat it in March 2021, that means that it's valid for March 2021 application and just 2022 application. And then if you sit it in September, because in September, the application process has already begun, you can't apply for that year. So if you sat it in September 2021, it means that you are eligible to apply with that in 2022 and 2023. And then you'd have to sit it again in 2023 if you wanted to apply in 2024 and so on. So a good little rule of thumb that a lot of my friends did in biomed was that they actually sat the GEMSAT in their second last year, so it would be the second year of biomed, and that way that they can apply for medicine during their third year of study to be ready to start medicine the following year and not have any breaks in between. However, if you do want a break in between, and I highly suggest that you do, then just don't apply for that year or sit it in your third year. Another good thing about sitting it in your second year as well is that it also gives you the opportunity to sit it again in September and then sit it again in March in your third year. And that way, you're not changing your timeline at all, and it also gives you a couple extra chances to get a better GEMSAT score and a better chance of getting in. So basically, now you want to apply, all you have to do is go into the GEMSAS website, and applications generally open up around about the start of May, because I think this year they opened up the start of May and closed at the end of May. And then all you've got to do is make an account, you fill in an online submission form. It then asks you to upload any supporting documents that you might have. So you will have to fill out your portfolio for your schools in the application. And then it may ask you to upload documents, whether you're applying for like rural or bonuses with Deakin. It'll then give you an email to send that to them so that they can then approve them. And you know what? This application through GEMSAS costs about $200. So if we chuck that onto our overall total, we're sitting at about $780 for the medicine application process in full. Not ideal for uni students. And after this, done. Just twiddle your thumbs, dag around, play some basketball, do whatever you want to do, and wait until about September when they start to send offers for interviews around. So come around about early September, that's when they will start releasing interview offers. So if you've got one, that's fantastic, congratulations. And if not, that's okay. You can always try again next year and try and work on your process and get a little bit better scores than your GEMSAT so that you can apply again next year and have a bit more of a better chance. The unis all run their interviews differently, and once you have been offered an interview, after sitting it, it does change the weighting process as well and how they determine who gets offers of places to the degree. So you can find that all out in my document that I have linked down below for you all to have a look through. And once you have been offered an interview, that's when you want to start looking up for how best to prepare for the interview based on what medical school you're interviewing at. Generally with these interviews, you're not going to get many clinical questions. They really want to try and understand your morals and ethical values and try and see if they can get a gauge of your commitment to medicine. Because they are investing a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money into you, into training you to become a doctor for the healthcare system, so they want to make sure that you're a good fit. Once you've received your interviews, you will be asked to accept them, and then interviews generally start to be held around about October. So, after all of that, you've started in March or maybe in September the year before, and you've gone through month after month after month of waiting and another test and grueling anxiety and stress. And here you are, having sat your interview and hopefully absolutely smashed it in October. You then get offered a position, or not, around about late November, December, as well as further offers being offered in January. So if you don't get an offer straight away at that late November, don't give up hope just yet, as those secondary and tertiary offers in December and January can still secure you a spot. And they are generally offered if people have deferred, or if people have declined places in the school, or if people have lapsed in their conditions for the year to actually be accepted into the degree. In saying that, come after that January period, if you haven't still received an offer, then you have not been accepted. That is not a big deal. It gives you a whole other year to pursue other interests and to grow and to figure out where you went wrong and become a better person overall, so that when you sit the application process again that year, you are a much better candidate and you have a much higher chance of getting in. Whew. All right, if you've made it to the end of the video, guys, thanks for watching it all the way through. I really hope you've gotten something out of this, because I know I spent days just scrolling through med application guides on all of the university's pages. So I really hope that this video and the information in the document will help streamline your application process. If you haven't done so already, please check out my other videos, because I really think they could be quite beneficial to you. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like and subscribe down below so you don't miss when I upload a video next. And it also really helps support the channel, and I appreciate that. So that's a little bonus as well. Feel free to leave a comment down below about your postgraduate medicine application process, and maybe a comment about why you're looking forward to being a doctor or why you want to be a doctor. And I'll make sure to check it out afterwards. All right, guys, till next time, see ya.